Goeiemôre en welkom by Plaas TV. Presisieboerdery en veral presisiebesproeiing word toenemend noodsaaklik. 'n Effektiewe besproeiingsstelsel neem al die hulpbronne en produksiedoelwitte in ag en word ontwerp om optimale produksie te verseker. Hiermee is Netafim baie goed. Ons kyk vanoggend na 'n interessante insetsel hieroor. Daarna gesels Lise Roberts met Rex Talmage van die Suid-Afrikaanse Suikerrietkwekersvereniging en Tony Wyke is terug op sy pos vir nog 'n episode van Self-Defense Fridays. Maar eers, oor na Lise vir die nuus.
Welcome to today's news. The Eastern Cape High Court has ruled that the live export of sheep from East London by Almawashi, South Africa may proceed, pending specific conditions. These include that no more than 56,000 head of sheep may be loaded onto the ship, the Al Militia. It also stipulates that the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development has to monitor the process according to the prescripts contained in the World Organization for Animal Health Guidelines pertaining to the transport of animals by sea. Almawashi was invited to South Africa by the Eastern Cape Development Corporation to establish a live export industry from the province in 2018. According to Wandile Sihlobo from Agbiz, South Africa's food price inflation accelerated to 4.6% year-on-year in July. This shows a slight uptick from the previous month's 4.5%. This was primarily underpinned by a slight increase in bread and cereals, fish and oils and fats. Sihlobo says that the current higher maize prices can cause a further rise in food price inflation. And according to an article on Fresh Plaza, the former president of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, believes the country could be the largest producer of avocados in Africa by 2030. The statement was made during a visit by the Avocado Society of Nigeria. According to Obasanjo, Nigeria possesses all the required qualities to overtake East African countries in avocado crop planting. And that's today's news, but don't go away.
Simparika by Zuyetis, your best friend's best friend. Netafim, grow more with less. Presisieboerdery word toenemend noodsaaklik en daaruit vloei ook presisiebesproeiing. Dit verlang 'n besproeiingsstelsel wat met inagneming van al die hulpbronne en produksiedoelwitte ontwerp en installeer is om optimale produksie te verseker. Ons moet onthou dat deeglike beplanning en voorbereiding noodsaaklik is vir suksesvolle presisiebesproeiing. Willem Botha, Bemarkingsbestuurder van Netafim Suid-Afrika, het onlangs met Plaas TV hieroor gesels.
Presisiebesproeiing gaan nie net oor akkuraatheid en noukeurigheid nie. Daar's 'n klomp komponente wat ingevat word in presisiebesproeiing. Die belangrikste is, ons moet die regte hoeveelheid water op die regte tyd, op die regte plek kan gee en ons moet hierdie water so uniform as moontlik oor die hele land kan versprei. Dit is die basiese konsep van presisiebesproeiing. Om dit te kan doen, het ons 'n goeie kennis nodig van ons natuurlike hulpbronne of natuurlike hulpbronne wat tot ons beskikking is. Ons moet gaan kyk na deeglike beplanning, want dit gaan oor effektiwiteit. In beplanning is daar 'n klomp kundigheid wat moet saamgevat word. Ons het so baie al gesien dat foute gemaak word dat die kundiges nie met mekaar gesels het. As ons praat van beplanning, ondersoek ons 'n klomp aspekte. Ons begin by klimaat, wat ons gaan kyk oor wat is die reënval van die area, wat is die temperature, wat is die ET0 van die spesifieke area. Ons ondersoek ook natuurlik die grond. Ons kyk na wat is die grond fisiese samestelling, wat is die grond chemiese samestelling, waterhouvermoë van die gronde en dan ook natuurlik groeipotensiale of produksiepotensiaal van die grond. Dit gaan egter nie net oor beskikbaarheid van water nie, maar ook wanneer is die water beskikbaar en hoeveel water is daar beskikbaar. Ook waterkwaliteit het 'n geweldige impak op die beplanning van jou besproeiingsstelsel. Ander aspekte waarna ons ook natuurlik kyk, is topografie, is daar hellings ter sprake, is daar krag beskikbaar, hoe ver is ek van die waterbron en daar's menigte ander faktore wat ons ook na kyk. Vanuit hierdie veranderlikes kom die gewaskundige in, hy beveel kultivar aan, plantafstande, die bemestingskundige kom in, hy doen sy bemestingsaanbeveling en alles gaan op die einde van die dag om die maksimale produksie van die area te kan benut. Netafim se landboukundige speel ook 'n rol hierso. Hy kan jou help om 'n besluit te maak rondom watse tipe besproeiingsstelsel jy moet kies en dan ook as daar moet besluit word oor spasiering, lewering ensovoorts. Die besproeiingsontwerper is in 'n moeilike posisie om al hierdie toue bymekaar te kan maak en 'n besproeiingsstelsel te ontwerp en te beplan. Die stelsel moet natuurlik van so 'n aard wees dat dit maklik en bestuurbaar vir die boer is om sukses te behaal. Daar is nie een resep vir alle plase nie. Elke plaas verskil, die grond verskil, die klimaat verskil en daarom is dit so belangrik dat die beplanning reg uitgevoer is. Daar is konsepte wat ons oor die hele land kan toepas, maar op die einde van die dag gaan dit oor jou eie omstandighede op jou plaas, jou bestuurstyl, wat is jou eie vermoëns, wat is jou eie beperkings en wat is jou eie doelwitte. Rondom dit moet jy kies wat vir jou kan werk. As ons weer gaan kyk na presisiebesproeiing, gaan dit oor die regte hoeveelheid water, die regte plek op die regte tyd en so uniform as moontlik. Enige besproeiingsmetode kan dit doen. Die verskil is egter dat daar verskille in effektiwiteit is ten opsigte van stelsels. Daar's twee faktore wat 'n geweldige impak het op waterverbruik. Dit gaan oor verdamping en die verliese wat met verdamping gaan en dit is baie afhanklik van die area wat jy nat maak. As ons gaan kyk byvoorbeeld na mikrospuite, maak ons 'n baie groter area nat, met ander woorde daar's hoër verdamping. Saam met 'n mikrospuit, soos wat die water versprei word, die water word deur die lug gegooi, is daar verdere verdamping. En dit is hierdie verdampingsverliese wat in ag geneem moet word wanneer jy besluit op 'n waterbegroting. Drip daarteenoor maak 'n baie kleiner oppervlakte nat, wat beteken daar's minder verdamping. Drip sit dan ook die water direk op die grond neer, so daar's absoluut geen verdamping in daai meganisme nie. En om die rede is daar verskille tussen stelsels. So op die einde van die dag, enige stelsel kan aangewend word vir presisiebesproeiing. Jy as boer moet net besluit waarmee is jy gemaklik.
Netafim. Grow more with less.
Goeiemôre kykers, in hierdie week se kommoditeitsmarkverslag kan daar gesien word dat die pryse vir A2 en C2 beeskarkasse verlede week redelik sywaarts beweeg het, maar dieselfde tyd het die speenkalfprys skerp gestyg met 6.1%. Die klein gaping tussen die karkas en die speenkalfprys gee rede tot kommer vir voerkrale en ons hoop dat die A-graad pryse redelik sal styg na Desember toe om hierdie speling groter te maak. Wat skaapvleis aanbetref het A2 karkasse 'n bietjie gestyg terwyl C2 karkasse beter gedoen het met 1.8% week op week en die speenlamprys wat basies sywaarts beweeg het en ons verwag dat hy in September sal begin daal. Varkvleisprys het ook verder gestyg met 2.5%. Daar was die afgelope week geen wol en bokhaar veilinge nie en daai pryse bly onveranderd. Groot verrassing in die mark kom by die grane waar die koringprys week op week met 10.3% gedaal het. Hierdie daling is grootliks as gevolg van baie duur pryse vir die vorige seisoen terwyl die nuwe seisoen se pryse af is en die prys in Desember tans op ongeveer R4.800 'n ton staan. Die rand het die afgelope week redelik goed vertoon teenoor die vernaamste wisselkoerse onder die R17 in beweeg teenoor die dollar, terwyl die euro ook nou minder as R20 kos.
NutriFeeds, die formule vir sukses.
South African sugarcane farmers will be contributing 640 million over the next 5 years towards programs aimed at supporting small-scale grower development and to ensure greater transformation within the industry. Joining me is the chairman of SA Canegrowers, Rex Talmage. Rex, how many small-scale farmers do you have as members?
Lisa, well over half of our 20,200 farmers, growers, are our members, and we represent their interests in the sugar industry.
Now, 640 million over 5 years, that's quite an amount for an industry that's gone through tough times. Very briefly, how is the industry doing?
Lisa, the sugar industry is still under severe threat, and this is essentially due to a confluence of simultaneous factors that have taken place over recent seasons. I could just quickly run through some of them, or the main ones. Firstly, there's been weak protection against the dumped and oversupplied world market sugar that's entered South Africa, primarily from Brazil and Thailand. And this essentially displaces South African homegrown sugar, which ends up being exported onto the dumped surplus world market at a significant loss and essentially exporting jobs. Secondly, the industry's dealt with an unprecedented drought. There were 3 consecutive years of drought, which are the worst in recorded history, and unfortunately very little financial assistance from government in dealing with that. Thirdly, the plunging world sugar prices. Fourth was the introduction of the HPL, the sugar tax, and this has resulted in reducing the local market demand for sugar from about 1.6 million tons to 1.2. And the industry lost approximately 1.5 billion rand in the first 12 months of the tax being introduced. Fifth, there's Eswatini sugar that's entering the SA market duty-free as per the SACU customs arrangements, common market. And this also displaces SA-grown sugar, ending up on the dumped world market at a loss. And now sixthly, and most recently, the introduction of COVID-19, which we all understand what the challenges there are.
To get back to the programs, this is part of a master plan. Just elaborate on that.
Lisa, the master plan essentially was initiated in July 2019 by Ministers Abraham Patel and Togo Didiza. In essence, it was to prevent an unmanaged decline of the sugar industry and the associated socioeconomic catastrophe that would bring in deep rural areas, often without any alternative employment opportunities for people. Essentially, it's also a social compact between all stakeholders in the entire value chain. And it's a package deal with reciprocal commitments by all stakeholders, where everyone's bringing something to the party. There have been 7 task teams formed, and each one of these are going to delve into the intricate details of different aspects forming the master plan. And it's aimed to deliver it as firstly stabilize and then move into developing a diversified and sustainable industry. Small-scale growers will form a foundational role going forward, and we want to ensure the synergistic participation of both small-scale growers and large-scale growers alongside one another.
So what are some of the interventions you are planning?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. The objective is to promote greater transformation, development, and sustainability of the small-scale grower sector. It's due to the significant socioeconomic multiplier that it has in deep rural areas across the provinces of KwaZulu-Natal and Mpumalanga. The grower contribution, as you mentioned, is 640 million rand over 5 years. And this is part of a 1 billion rand industry initiative. So the balance will be funded by the milling sector of the industry. It's important to note that this will be over and above the 766 million rand already invested in black small-scale growers over recent seasons, of which commercial farmers themselves contributed 493 million rand. Firstly, there will be a preferential price paid to small-scale growers, and it's going to be important, obviously, to mitigate against any kind of capture where third parties, service providers and contractors can capture any of this, and where the intended beneficiaries must receive what is aimed to target towards them. There'll be training programs, and these will be in the spheres of agronomic, basic and advanced financial skills, leadership, entrepreneurial skills, governance at co-op level and board directorship. And then there will be seed cane plots planted, delivering the newest varieties, genetically true to type material, which will be disease-free and grown and supplied close to the growers' localities.
Well, that was the chairman of SA Canegrowers, Rex Talmage.
Het jy wat dit vat om die 2020 Toyota SA Nasionale Jong Afslaer te word? Wys ons jou stal en stuur vandag nog jou video-inskrywing in. Heelwat pryse vir regstreekse wenners en ons groot wenner slaan 'n oorseese reis na Kanada los. WhatsApp jou naam en nommer na 066 231 2430 vir meer inligting. Inskrywing sluit 31 Augustus. Terme en voorwaardes geld. Standard Bank, voluit vorentoe.
Now, previously we spoke about knowing your environment, knowing your area, knowing your property and your home better than anyone else, so that you are aware when there's something amiss, when something is not the way it normally is. Now, these are warning signs. The moment that something is not the way it normally is, the moment something is out of the ordinary, these are warning signs that a potential plan for intrusion within your property could be in the making. And before any intrusion, before any home break-in, there are warning signs. Now, what warning signs are we going to look at specifically when it comes to a farm environment? Because a farm is such a big area, it's such a expanded area for you to cover and to know the ins and outs specifically, what warning signs are there that we need to look at? Well, these warning signs are not limited to the following, but the following ideas that I'm sharing with you could be something that you can look at and that you can start noticing and paying attention to within your own area and your own farm lifestyle. Now, the following examples are warning signs. Strangers present in or strolling around the area without an apparent reason. Be aware of if there are very well-clothed strangers standing at pickup points in the mornings or maybe loitering near the entrance of a farm. Now, these strangers normally do not get into one of the usual taxis that there are, but they are later on picked up by other cars. So they're standing at the taxi pickup points just to hide in plain sight, so to speak. Look out for strange vehicles that are making use of farm roads or strangers perhaps camping in the area. You can also look out for unfamiliar tracks. If you know that most people drive buckies with wide tires, and all of a sudden there are different tire tracks, maybe motorcycle tracks within the dirt roads. These are also warning signs that somebody that not normally drives there have been driving in the area. People driving by the farm very early in the morning and who sound their hooters to upset the dogs. Now, a lot of times the perpetrators annoy the dogs. They make a lot of ruckus to see which areas of the property have guard dogs, which don't. Sometimes they'll make a ruckus on the other side of the property to see how long the guard dogs take to notice the sounds and the noise, or how long it takes for the dogs to get there. So these are all ways for them when they're scouting the area to see where their best entry points and exit points are going to be. Also, notice the unexplained death of a watchdog, perhaps. If your dog is very healthy and the dog then just passes away unexpectedly, it could be because of poisoning, and a lot of the poisons that they use aren't immediately detectable. Also be on the lookout for evidence of the presence of intruders before the time. Now, with the presence of intruders, it means they are scouting, they were actually on the property, and they were looking at the areas for them to attack easiest and most effectively when they're doing their planning. So look for empty bottles or tins, pieces of paper, maybe even buttons, pieces of material that could have torn off clothing, footprints or shoe prints in and around the area, ashes of campfires or apparent campfires. Look for leftovers of meals, for instance, cigarette butts, empty cigarette boxes. Look for pieces of string or wire that could be lying on the property. Notice broken off branches, plastic bags. All of these things are evidence that somebody has been on the property. Human interaction has been on the property. And you might notice that a lot of the times this evidence starts making a pattern. Every specific day of the week there might be a campfire, leftovers of a campfire on one site. Other days of the week you might notice footprints in a specific area that there wasn't before. So start noticing if there's a pattern in the area before it starts becoming dangerous to you and your family. If you have any concerns, then share them with your neighbors, share them with local authorities, notify the neighborhood watch if you have one, or the farm watch if you have one. Share this information to make people aware so that nobody gets caught off guard. Also be alert for the theft of food, for fuel, livestock, game on the property, etc. Again, this shows that there have been comings and goings of people on the property. Also, strangers who enter the farm for apparent valid or harmless reasons, and then they're trying to make unnoticed observations of the area. If you have new farm hands that are helping on the farm, notice if there's any strange behavior, if they're loitering, standing, doing nothing in one area for a prolonged period of time, maybe on their phone more constantly than what they should be. Are they sending messages? Or do they carry a notebook where they make notes in specific times of the day? Pay attention and notice these occurrences as they occur and as they happen within your property. And also note any unusual behavior of birds or animals in the area. This also could indicate human presence. If normally you know that there are a specific species of birds that hang around a specific area and all of a sudden they just disappear, again, this is out of the ordinary. Know your environment, know what is occurring within your environment, know the patterns of your environment. And if those patterns all of a sudden start changing or altering tremendously for no specific reason, where there's a smoke, there's a fire, which means you need to go and investigate why has it changed so dramatically.
Netafim. Grow more with less.
Vertoon u diere tekens van swak groei en diarree. Baie plase word geraak deur ongediagnoseerde diere wat coccidia het. By Cox 5% is 'n coccidiosied, een dosis op 'n jong ouderdom, help met lewenslange immuniteit teen coccidia, wat verbeterde groei en vroeë bevrugting aanhelp. Anders as antibiotika, maak by Cox 5% die intrasellulêre stadiums van die parasiet dood en bevorder die ontwikkeling van natuurlike immuniteit. Voorkom, beskerm, profyt met Bycox 5%. Beskikbaar by u dieregesondheidsverskaffer of vra u byregent.
Don't miss Monday's episode of Plaas TV, when we have a look at how you can grow more with less space using vertical farming. Enjoy your weekend.